Hello, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today for UAB's virtual town hall for students. I'm Rosie O'Byrne. I'm interim AVP for digital strategy and marketing, and I want to just give everybody a little housekeeping notes before we get started today. So this week we've received lots of questions from many of you. You've were able to submit those in early, and we appreciate that we got so many that it would be impossible for each of our leaders to address those individually. So they've looked at all of your questions and they're going to address them collectively. There were a lot of common themes and common questions. So so I'm going to share, sorry, doing some multitasking here. I'm going to share the agenda. Here we go for today. So we'll have Dr. Watts will speak to us, as well as Provost Pam Benoit. Afterwards, Dr. Austin, who really represents our international student population, will speak. We'll have Dr. Bradley Barnes from Enrollment Management can also speak to incoming students, as well as if you are looking at UAB as a prospective student. Dr. McMahon from the graduate school will be speaking. And we have Mark Booker, who can address a lot of the housing and dining questions that came in. We have Dr. Cloth and Dr. Stowe with Student Health Services and Counseling Services. So after we get through our speaker lineup, we're going to open it up for questions. And so we're in a Zoom room, and we're going to ask you to submit your questions in the Q&A section. But please don't submit questions right now. Let's just wait till all of our speakers have spoken, and they may have actually answered your questions. So we'll do live questions there at the end. Also, there is closed. I'm going to go back and share. Okay. Letting everybody know that there is live closed captioning available. If you need more information about how to use that, there's the URL there. Okay. And we are recording this, and so it will be available on YouTube after we get done. So with that being said, I'm going to pass the mic over to Dr. Watts.
Well, thank you, Rosie. And it's good to be with you this afternoon via this video conference to address your questions and concerns. There is no question we face an unprecedented crisis caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. But I can assure you we will get through this together. The work across the UAB enterprise and community these last 5 weeks has been incredible. Our initial focus was and continues to be the safety of our students, our faculty and staff, and our community and families, both locally, throughout the state, and beyond. That's why we very proactively and quickly moved to remote distance learning. We limited campus work schedules, so about 80% of our employees, and as the largest employer in the state with 23,000 employees, we felt it was very important to keep them safe and apart to stop the spread of this virus. We have been very rigorous and aggressive about social distancing and hygienic safety, and have been strong supporters of our local governments, the mayor and the county, and the governor for stay-at-home orders to keep us from spreading this virus. And I can tell you, social distancing is working. We have flattened the curve. We do not have near the peak of cases that was predicted 4 to 5 weeks ago. And that's good. And that's why we've been so diligent. I've been so impressed with how you, our students, and our faculty and staff rapidly adapted to remote and online continuation of your education. It hasn't been without challenges, but all parts of the UAB community have gone over and above the call of duty to tackle any problems we've encountered. We have continued with essential campus services that in particular help support our world-class health system. And our healthcare providers have been nothing short of exemplary. We have shown our Blazer spirit through the Blazer Kitchen, which has helped many, many employees and students and their families during this difficult time. We continue to support that, and it is continuing to help many people. Our provost team, working with our Center for Teaching and Learning in our e-learning division, have gone over and above the call of duty to help our faculty adapt quickly. And Dr. Benoit will talk to you about some of the academic challenges and opportunities and some of the great problem solving. But our commitment and resolve to serving our mission is nothing short of resolute. We will be successful. We are being successful now, but the battle is not over. You've heard folks talking about the peak. Well, our peak in Birmingham and in Alabama will come in the next week. So we are not at the full peak of cases for Alabama. Over 6,000 people and too many deaths. Over 2 million people worldwide and too many deaths. And unfortunately, the U.S. is leading in the number of cases and the number of deaths. But a lot of activities are happening. We will blunt this virus. We will have plans to have a logical return to life gradually as we knew it before this crisis. But we're still in a period where we need to be apart and we need to continue this distance learning. Dr. Benoit will share with you, we have moved toward this plan for the summer semester. And I can tell you, while we can't predict the future, we do hope and believe that if we do our duty and do our best, we may well and expect to return to campus for the fall semester. With that, I'll turn it over to our provost, Dr. Pam Benoit.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming today, and we'll try to give you some updates and then answer a number of the questions that came in. So we shifted to remote instruction for the spring on March 25th and for the summer on April 8th to protect the health and safety of students, faculty, and staff. In addition to that, we implemented a number of policy changes and flexibility around policies to try to adapt to the fact that we knew that this was going to be difficult for people to make the switch so quickly and difficult to be able to learn in the same way that they were used to. So one of those was to give students the opt-in pass-fail option. We worked with the Faculty Senate to provide that. A number of other institutions made that a requirement. We made it an opt-in so that you have a choice about whether or not you want to have pass-fail grades. We also put more flexibility around the withdrawal policy. So you can withdraw up till the last day of class. And you can also withdraw from classes as opposed to withdrawing from the entire semester. We put more flexibility around the incomplete policy. Usually you have one semester to complete an incomplete that you've taken in a class. We've now extended that to the second semester. So incompletes, for example, won't be due until the last day of fall 2020 for spring, and for summer, the last day of spring 2021. We also knew that we weren't going to be able to have commencement, but we still wanted to celebrate the successes of our students and their accomplishments. So we've done a virtual ceremony. It will air on May 1st for graduate students at 6 p.m. and for undergraduates on May 2nd at 2 p.m. It airs on Facebook, YouTube, and IGTV. We've asked students to send in videos that we can include. We will have a number of speakers, so we want to celebrate you also with the virtual commencement. Let me see if I can answer a number of the questions that have come in. I'm going to start with commencement. First of all, there's a great website about commencement that answers a lot of these questions, and I would ask that you look at it if you have other questions besides the ones I answered today. That site is www.uab.edu/commencement. So it's easy to remember. One of the questions is, will I still get my diploma? And the diplomas are mailed 6 to 8 weeks after grades. There's no change in that. So if you graduate in the spring, you'll get your diploma within that period of time. Another question is, can I walk in a later ceremony? And the answer to that is yes. And they've asked, do I need to do something now in order to be able to walk in a ceremony later? No. About 6 weeks prior to the ceremony, the registration will open for you to let us know that you're planning to walk. Third, I've been asked, will there be refunds on regalia? And if you email regalia@uab.edu, you can exchange with them about ways in which you can mail the regalia that's not been used into them, and they can get you a refund. Related to the bookstore, there's also a question on, can I return or sell books back? And if you look on the front page of the website for the bookstore, it gives you instructions about how you can mail those in and get refunds. There are a number of questions about summer. Why did we close for summer? The president has already indicated that this was to allow our students, faculty, and staff to be healthy and safe. It also allowed for them to plan ahead of time. And virtually all of the campuses across the country also made the same decision around summer. Someone asked, can the decision be changed? Given the information that we have, there's no evidence that that's likely to occur. How will students fulfill clinical internships, other kinds of experiences during the summer when we're in a remote kind of environment? One of the things that you have to keep in mind is that a lot of the places where you would do these experiences are also closed. And so it's difficult for us to have those be fulfilled. But many of our units have thought incredibly creatively about different ways in which you can accomplish the same objectives. So I'd encourage you to reach out to your advisor or your program director and see what might be a good option for your particular program, because there's a lot of variation among the programs. There are questions about fall. What's the plan for fall? You heard the president say we are very hopeful that we'll be back in session doing face-to-face instruction in the fall, but we've worked on different plans if that doesn't become possible. And how will we know when it's going to be safe to return? This is a very important question. We have a task force that has been developed by the University of Alabama system that's working on health and safety issues and what we would need to be able to do in order to be the safest campuses in America, to make sure that when students and faculty and staff come back together again, that they can also be safe. So with that, I'm going to hand off at this point to Dr. Suzanne Austin, who is our Senior International Officer, because I know there have been a number of questions pertaining particularly to international students. Suzanne?
Thank you, Provost Benoit. First, let me say that we are, as always, concerned about the health and safety of our international students, faculty, and staff. And we understand that many of you face the added strain of worry for family and friends in countries far from the United States. To those of you who work with our international community, thank you for all of your hard work on their behalf. We really know it's making a difference. Please know that the teams in International Student and Scholar Services and Into UAB are here to assist you with any questions and concerns you may have. Both offices are running at full capacity and offering all support services online. We have created a virtual welcome desk at uab.edu/global, and that's a great place to start with any concerns or questions that you have. For those international students who have any concerns about academic issues, we are getting toward the end of the semester, exams are going to be coming up. Please contact Into UAB and they can guide you to the appropriate resources. And let me say, this is true for any international student on the UAB campus, not just for students who came in through Into UAB, but any international student. If you have any concerns or questions, please go to Into UAB or go to the virtual welcome desk. Those resources are there for everybody. Tutoring services are available online, as are health screening and counseling services. Congratulations to those of you who are graduating soon. I know some of you have concerns about looking for jobs in the United States following graduation. Remember that you must file for OPT, optional practical training, no later than 60 days following graduation. But the sooner you do this, the better, like today. And Catherine Crow and her team in International Students and Scholar Services is there waiting and willing to help. I've heard that some of you are concerned about going outside. You're wondering if it's safe. And the answer is yes, it's safe to go outside if you practice social distancing and good, thorough hand washing once you get back inside. Try to avoid areas that are going to be crowded because you want to be able to keep that distance from other people. But I think that especially on beautiful days like today, it's really important to get outside and go for a walk if you possibly can. Many of our engagement programs are available virtually. Take advantage of our Language Partners program. It's up and running. The International Coffee Hour is back virtually, and I know that there were a number of folks who attended today. Finally, the most important thing is to stay connected to other people and let us know if you need any assistance. The best place to start that search for assistance is the virtual welcome desk at uab.edu/global, and you'll see a large yellow tab under the banner. Just hit that tab and you will find the place to start to get some assistance. And now I will turn it over to Dr. Bradley Barnes.
Thank you, Dr. Austin. Several questions that have come up have been related to changes in enrollment-related activities. So for starters, academic support for current students includes a variety of virtual student success activities, such as online advising, workshops, tutoring, and supplemental instruction. And we know that these and other efforts are working, as nearly 75% of all current freshmen have already registered for fall classes. And the recruitment of future students continues. Campus visits have moved to a virtual format, along with a variety of special interest sessions. Prospective students will continue to engage with our trailblazers, as our student ambassadors are involved in daily one-on-one meetings with prospects and their families. And our dedicated admissions team continues to meet one-on-one through Zoom with students and families. Other changes include new student orientation for freshmen and transfer students that has been moved to an online format. These web resources and communication plans have been retooled to inform and educate students and families about this change. New students will still meet with an academic advisor as they have in the past. The difference is they may be meeting virtually or by phone. And I can't say enough good things about our academic advisors at UAB, who have partnered with us since the very beginning to ensure that we're ready to deploy this new format. And for all of you prospective students out there, I want you to know that we want you at UAB. Go Blazers. I'll now hand over the mic to Dean of the Graduate School, Dr. Lori McMahon.
Lori, you're muted.
Good afternoon, students. Thank you very much for joining us today. I know this has been a challenging and stressful time, but you have shown resilience, patience, and understanding, and it is my honor to serve our students as the Dean of the Graduate School. We'll get through this together, and we will be stronger for it. We are Blazers, after all. The Graduate School's #1 priority from the beginning has been your health and safety, while at the same time making sure that you have the support you need to continue toward your degree. The Graduate School staff are always eager to help you. The staff are working remotely during normal business hours from 8 to 5. Please don't hesitate to reach out with questions. For those graduate students who are listening today, we want to make sure that your time to degree is not increased. So please make sure you register for the summer term. As the provost already mentioned, because students encounter unexpected challenges while taking classes remotely when they intended to take them face-to-face, we are very happy to have the optional pass-fail grading system, the ability for you to withdraw from a class until the last day of the classes for the term, and an extension on incomplete grades. I also want the graduate students to know that we are being very flexible with deadlines to complete candidacy requirements and thesis and dissertation defenses as well. So please connect with your programs and with the graduate school if you need this flexibility. For those of you who are listening and contemplating applying to a graduate program, I encourage you to do so. We understand that for many, taking standardized tests like the GRE or GMAT can be a barrier, and particularly right now, that's a big barrier. So during this time, we have removed this barrier and are happy to share that a majority of our programs have temporarily waived standardized test scores for applications until spring 2020. Depending on how things progress with the COVID-19 crisis, some programs may extend this waiver, while others may reinstate the standardized test score requirement. So please be sure you check the graduate school website for detailed information. You can reach out to us using the chat feature on the website or by email. I also know many of you are anxious about progress on your research projects, particularly those in laboratories on our campus. Right now, undergraduates are not allowed in research laboratories, although there is a specific exception process on the Vice President for Research website. For those students and postdocs engaged in laboratory or field research, you're probably aware that there's also a process for permission for you to engage in essential research. Examples of that include taking care of animals or plants or cell lines, maybe fragile reagents. Starting new studies, though, does not fit the definition of essential research. Addressing reviewers' comments on a manuscript could be considered essential, but only if it requires limited time in the laboratory. These requests are considered on a case-by-case basis, so please work with your mentors to determine if what you are trying to accomplish meets the essential research definition. I want to make it clear that no student or postdoc should feel pressured by your mentor to be on campus. And this includes nights and weekends. So the exception request includes nights and weekends. Continuing to engage in essential research is a decision that you feel that you should be a part of. Please discuss concerns with your mentor, and if you need additional assistance, reach out to your program director or to me directly. And I know that Dr. Lisa Schwiebert, Senior Associate Dean of Postdoc Education, and Dr. Chris Brown, Vice President for Research, are in complete agreement that we do not want students or postdocs feeling that they are pressured to come to campus. Your safety is our concern. Dr. Benoit also mentioned about reinstating clinical rotations, and I can assure you that all of the deans of the schools with clinical programs are working diligently to determine when you can safely return to the clinic. So again, please communicate with your program director for the most up-to-date information. Things continue to evolve rapidly. Finally, we understand that mental health is a big concern, and it's a concern as much as your physical health. And you'll hear in a few moments from Dr. Angela Stowe about what's going on to support you. The graduate school has instituted virtual office hours, professional development mini workshops, and also weekly donuts with the dean. So please join me every week to talk about your concerns or great things that are happening in your life. Don't forget about the emergency funding that's available if you have financial challenges, and Blazer Kitchen is available to you too if you're having problems with food insecurities. I would love to hear your ideas on how we can continue to support you during this time of uncertainty and fear. I know I speak for all of the graduate school staff when I say that we have missed seeing your faces, and we are waiting patiently for the day that we can interact face-to-face with all of our students again. We wish a heartfelt congratulations to all of you who will be graduating this semester. So now I'd like to pass the microphone to Mark Booker. He will talk to you about housing and dining.
Thank you, Dr. McMahon. Greetings, Blazers. I hope you are safe and well. And as Dr. McMahon said, we definitely miss seeing you on campus. On behalf of our team in Student Housing and Dining, I want to thank you for your patience and your understanding during this global crisis. We are working earnestly to address your questions and concerns, and we want to reassure each of you that we do understand the uncertainty and the anxiety that accompanies these difficult circumstances. You've asked lots of questions, and I'm going to try to address them in my comments today. We've made provisions to provide a prorated refund for student housing, meal plans, and for student parking for the remainder of the spring term. Also, all of your unused Dragon Cash that's a part of the dining fee will also be refunded. Refunds will begin being processed next week, and you can expect refunds to be in your hands within 10 to 14 business days. We ask that you're mindful that these refunds may be applied to outstanding balances or will be applied to outstanding balances that you have on your account. So your refund may be a little bit different than what you think it is based on what your balance is currently on your student account. In addition to that, we will let students return to campus to collect their belongings out of the residence halls when it is safe to do so. As Dr. Watts and others have mentioned, your safety is our top priority. Currently, we have about 150 students living in the residence halls. We want to ensure their safety as well. So as soon as safe and practical to do so, we will let you return to campus to collect your things. Once we do allow you to return to campus and your belongings are out of the residence halls, we're going to clean and maintain and sanitize all of the residence halls and the dining facilities as well, so that when you are allowed to come back to campus in the fall, everything will be clean and ready to go. In the meantime, if you have a hardship or a special circumstance or a need, please feel free to email studentoutreach@uab.edu, or if it's more specific to housing, you can email studenthousing@uab.edu as well. We're going to work to put you in touch with the resources that you may need. We will continue to work as quickly and efficiently as we can to address your questions and concerns. We ask for your continued patience as we persist in our efforts to keep our students and our staff and faculty safe. We look forward to the time when we can gather again on campus. Until then, stay safe and healthy and engaged, and be kind to one another. We remain ever faithful and ever loyal. We are all UAB Blazers. And with that, I turn it over to Dr. Mike Faircloth for a student health and wellness update. Dr. Faircloth.
First slide, please. Thank you, Mark. Good afternoon. The good news, student health is open, here to serve you. Our hours are Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. We're offering both in-person and on-site and virtual video visits. We're recommending as first line the virtual video visit experience, as we're attempting to limit your travel and potential for exposure. We understand that some things are best evaluated and treated in person, and we can easily facilitate that for you, usually the same day. Also, if during a virtual video visit, we recognize that you may be best served with an in-person visit, we can facilitate that very quickly within a day or so if that's something that you can do. Web booking for these virtual visits will be available on the patient portal as of this Monday, April 20th. Otherwise, you can call as usual, 205-934-3580 to discuss these appointment options and discuss, we can help you figure out what's best for you. The virtual platform we're using is eMed Video Visit through American Well Touchpoint app. This is conducted securely through downloading this app. It's used across the UAB campus very effectively. You will not need to create an account. You will not have to give any personal information. You will need a phone or a tablet and the ability to receive a text message. Instructions on how to download this and navigate this system will be on the portal at the time of web booking. If you call, we can help talk you through that, and there will be a virtual video tab on the Student Health Services website. As always, you have access to the secure patient portal for usual questions, prescription refill requests, and things like that. And always you have phone access at 205-934-3411. Importantly, please, if you have respiratory symptoms like shortness of breath or cough, fever or flu symptoms, and you're going to be coming to the clinic in person, please call us ahead so that we know you're coming and we can meet you at the door and provide a mask as you come in the clinic. We continue to provide after hours on-call medical provider coverage every day of the year after 5 and on weekends. If you call 205-934-3411 and ask for the on-call student health provider to be paged. We continue to provide most all of your primary care needs, including obtaining specimens for COVID-19 testing. Immunizations, allergy shots, and TB testing is still available if it's imperative that you come and have that done now. Lab services are available daily. Radiology is available Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And on Tuesday and Thursday, we have other solutions on campus. The no-show fee has been waived for students that have the United Healthcare student insurance. COVID-19 testing is fully covered 100%, and the referral requirement is currently waived until further notice, which means you can seek care anywhere with anyone you want without having to contact student health and get a referral for that. Importantly, the immunization and medical clearance hold has been lifted through early August so as not to have a negative impact on your ability to register for summer classes. As pointed out earlier, we know that you have a lot of questions about when is it going to be safe to return to campus and how are we going to keep you safe when you get here. And please know that the University of Alabama systems and the UAB campus has the safety of you, our students, and the campus communities as our first priority. And as Dr. Benoit pointed out, with the task force formed, we're seeking out and following the best advice of national bodies and experts, many of whom are here on the UAB campus, to help us define evidence-based procedures and protocols. To accomplish that, we also know and understand that education for students and faculty is important for things such as continued hand washing, social distancing, and other safety measures when you come back. And those things will be accomplished through social media campaigns, green mail, e-reporter, signage, resources such as putting hand sanitizer anywhere that it's needed. And please don't come to class if you're sick. We have effective policies in place to help mitigate any academic impact if that does happen. Another question from a lot of folks that I get is it safe to order food home or have things delivered at home? And the answer is yes, it is safe. There's been no evidence that food or food packaging has been linked to getting COVID-19 illness, but there are some things you can do to be smart. Pay online or pay by phone so that you won't have to touch money or a credit card. Accept the delivery without any in-person contact. For food, for example, have them leave it on the porch. Bring the container inside. Transfer the food to a plate, throw the container in the garbage, wash your hands, and then eat your food. Remember, after you get your mail, wash your hands, and when you're getting gas, either use a disinfectant wipe on the keypad and the handle of the gas pump, or just wear gloves. And if you wear gloves, when you take them off, throw them outside your car, throw them away, and immediately inside, use hand sanitizer on your hands. I'll stop there and pass it to Dr. Angela Stowe for a student counseling update.
Thank you, Dr. Faircloth, and thank you for that great information. Hello, Blazers. I'm Angela Stowe, and I'm the Director of Student Counseling Services, and I'm so glad to be with you today. Number one, I miss you, and we all missed you, and we look forward to the day that we can be back together on campus. But the second reason that I'm really happy to be here today is that while we are very committed to making sure your questions are answered and that you know that we will be providing a safe campus upon your return, we also prioritize your mental health and well-being. We recognize that this has been a challenging time for everyone and that you may be encountering experiences that are harder than you could have imagined. We also know that we're seeing Blazers be able to recognize their resilience, to recognize our strengths, to recognize our compassion, to recognize our innovation and our ability to rise to high levels to solve problems and make an impact in the world. If you'll show this slide, Rosie. One of the things that I want to make sure you do know about is our continuing services in student counseling services. When we went to remote online classes, we converted our ability to provide counseling sessions to a telemental health environment. We are offering the same services through distance counseling appointments, and if you would like to schedule a counseling appointment, you just need to call our office and we will arrange that for you. If you already have a counselor and you're interested in reconnecting with that counselor, then you can contact them through your patient portal and they'll help set up a time for you to have an appointment. In addition to converting our usual services to an online environment, we have also been able to add some additional online platforms and virtual services to support you wherever you are. I encourage you to explore our TAL self-help online platform. There are modules about resiliency and also depression and anxiety. There's a whole mindfulness library and some resources that you can use any time of day from your home. This is free for all UAB students, and you can enroll by going to our website. Our Mental Health Ambassadors, which is a group of students and an initiative of the Honors College under the leadership of Dr. Robin Landsey and in partnership with Counseling Services and Active Minds, is providing daily live events through social media and Zoom, including meditations, well-being workshops, yoga, and opportunities to learn how to cope using creative arts. These are also available and recorded and available on their YouTube site. We also, in Student Counseling Services, have launched a new podcast that provides information about how to get support during COVID-19, as well as some recorded virtual videos as well. I also want to make sure you know that there's crisis and emergency support available 24/7. Any UAB member of the community or anyone can text UAB to 741-741. That's the emergency crisis text line. I also want to make sure you know that there are several other hotlines available on our website. And there is a dedicated emotional support line for COVID-19 as well. We want to remind you to take care of yourselves and that there's some things that you can do every day from home. If you can, just try every day to connect to someone outside of your home or in the outside world, to get some movement, to be able to eat food that nourishes your brain and your body to keep your energy going, and to make sure you're doing something creative and fun each day. We will get through this together, Blazers, and we will be stronger because of it. And now I'll turn it back to Rosie because I think it's time to open for possible questions.
Yes, thank you, Angela. Before we go to questions, I wanted to see if any of the panelists had any wrap-up comments. I wanted to circle back. And I don't know if Dr. Jones, our VP for Student Affairs, if you had some comments you wanted to add.
No, not at this time. Good. Good afternoon, Blazers. My name is John Jones. I'll serve as your Vice President of Student Affairs. I will assist Rosie in identifying individuals to respond to your questions. So please, if you have any questions, please send them in.
All right. All right, we'll go to live questions. Richard is asking about the things we couldn't take home. Where exactly have they been moved to?
Sure. Mark Booker, could you respond to that, please?
I can, Dr. Jones. For those students who lived in Camp Hall, those items were packed by professional movers, and they are stored in a climate-controlled, secure location. But it's probably best if we keep that location under wraps, because we don't want to put those items at any undue risk. But they are safe, they are secure, and they are in a climate-controlled space, so they're waiting for you to come back and collect them as soon as safe and practical.
We have a student asking about what about those who lived in Camp Hall? Will our things that were packed be sanitized too?
Sure. Mark Booker, please.
Yes, sir. That's another good question. If your concern is about the virus itself, it is my understanding, and Dr. Faircloth can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's my understanding that the virus cannot survive on most surfaces beyond a certain number of days. So it's been well over 2 weeks since that's happened, and those items were moved. But in the event that when students return, we will certainly make sure that your things are handled with care, and you can collect them as soon as you are allowed to back on campus.
Okay, so Ryan is asking a question for Dean McMahon. What criteria are being used to determine when it's safe for clinical students being allowed to return to clinic?
Hi, Ryan. Thanks so much for your question. That's a really tough question. And the reason why it's tough is that our clinical programs are very different from one another. And so the challenges that dental students face versus doctor of physical therapy versus medical students, doctor of nursing practice, and our other clinical programs are all a little bit different. We are very concerned about the environments that our students will go into. Some of the environments and the clinical experiences are closed right now. Dr. Benoit mentioned that earlier. So we are working with all of those places where our interns go, where our clinical students are experiencing their coursework and their clinical interactions with patients. So just my best advice to you is to work very closely with your program director. They are the ones who are interacting with the sponsors in this arena, and they will be able to give you the most up-to-date information.
Okay. Brian is asking, will fees such as student rec athletic fees be waived for summer courses?
Okay. We will ask Stephanie Mullins to respond to that, please.
Stephanie, you might be muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So the fees and the tuition and fees both will be assessed based on the previously approved board resolutions. So there is at this point no plan to waive those fees.
Okay. All right. Let's see, there's another question here that Stephanie, you could probably answer. How long will student workers continue to be paid?
So student workers that are working or able to work remotely will continue to be paid for their time worked as they do so. Federal work study students will be paid throughout the term based on their award. And then early on, we focused on maintaining full employment for all employees, I would say, including the student employees, for as long as we financially were able to do so. We were able to do that for students that were not working at all in group 3, those unable to perform the work remotely, for a total of 3 weeks. At the end of that time frame, because of the financial situation and in alignment with sister campuses, we regret that we were unable to continue that practice going forward.
Okay. Dylan is asking, would it be possible for returning upperclassmen who plan to return to on-campus housing to keep the same dorms for the next semester?
Mr. Booker, please respond.
Thank you, Dr. Jones. In some cases, that is going to be possible. In other cases, it will not be practical simply because it depends on the roommate selection, roommate requests. In addition to that, we'd also really appreciate the opportunity and need the opportunity to go in and perform light maintenance and prepare the spaces for the fall, just in routine maintenance. But in cases where we can do that, we will certainly make every effort to do so.
Great. Okay, so we have a student saying, come fall, if classes are on campus and a student feels unsafe returning to campus, how will that be accommodated if they have on-campus classes?
Can we ask Provost Benoit to respond, please?
Yes, so it would depend upon the classes. Some classes will continue to be offered online in the fall, even if we're doing even if we're doing face-to-face instruction during that time. So it's hard to answer that question without knowing more specifically about the particular program that a student might be in. There also might be students, for example, who are taking clinical hours, and those hours might be in a different location entirely from the campus. Again, we're concerned about your health and safety. We will not be opening the campus back up until we are assured that we have a healthy and safe environment for students to come back to.
Great. Dean McMahon, this one is for you, I believe. So Kevin is asking for incoming graduate students. If this continues to go through fall, how would rotations work if the lab in question is not listed as essential research?
Hi, Kevin. That's a really great question, and many of us have been talking about that. For those students who are in biomedical sciences, for example, maybe that's the program that you're in, or other laboratory-based research programs. If we are not open for research for the fall, then those program directors will offer other kinds of instruction, laboratory instruction that will be virtual. And so there's a lot of discussion going on about that right now. And there's also potentially an opportunity to switch the curriculum around a little bit to add more coursework potentially in the fall and more laboratory exercises in the spring if that's what's needed. So we're thinking hard about that. And so as we make those decisions, we will be sure to let the incoming students know what to expect.
Okay. Amber Stone is asking, will out-of-state students be charged in-state tuition since summer classes will be online?
Okay, Provost Benoit, please
Yes.
respond.
So out-of-state students are charged a different rate in normal circumstances because they do not pay Alabama state taxes, which are used to help to support the institution. And so, yes, out-of-state students in the summer, even remotely, will be charged the out-of-state rate as they will in the fall and during normal course of business, because that reflects whether or not there's support from another source for those students.
We have a student that's asking, can the refund be applied to our fall 2020 student bill? And if so, how do we do that?
Stephanie Mullins, please respond.
Stephanie might be. Yeah.
I'm coming. Sorry. It is my understanding that each of the students that were eligible for a housing and dining refund have received an email, and in that email there is an option to apply your refund to your fall 2020 award. So Mark, if you want to weigh in on that.
Certainly, Stephanie, thank you. Yes, that is correct. You can opt to utilize the refund from your housing and or your meal plan for your fall housing or meal plan charges. So please, I want to clarify that a little bit. It is housing refunds would be for housing, meal plans for meal plans. And there would also be a 10% credit added to that, so that if you're getting back $700, you'll receive $770 in credit for fall. So wanted to clarify. Thank you.
Great, thank you. A student is asking, will the PWA applications be open for freshmen in May, or will it be postponed due to the virus? Also, how many people usually get the PWA position?
Dr. Barnes, could you respond, please?
Bradley, you might be muted.
Yeah. Can you explain what you mean by PWA?
Yeah. Am I unmuted? I'm pretty confident that that's actually a housing question. That's the Peer Wellness Ambassador in student housing. And we have 10 of those positions. And to my knowledge, and I'm certainly, if you would like to email us that question, I can verify this, but I'm fairly confident we are going to keep that application open. And again, there are 10 of those positions for the fall. Good question. Thank you.
Okay.
Great, thank you. Will tuition and fees and financial holds be adjusted for upcoming terms?
Either Stephanie or Provost Benoit, please respond.
Stephanie, feel free.
Okay. So for this summer and fall semester, we have adjusted the registration holds for outstanding balances up from a $500 balance to a $1,000 balance. So that adjustment has already been made in relation to tuition and balance holds.
Okay. Student is asking, when can clinical students, physical therapy in particular, expect to be allowed to return to clinicals? To go along with that question, will the students be given advance notice of a date or not?
Oh, certainly this is for Dr. Benoit.
So I'm going to come back to my earlier comment, which is that a lot of those clinicals require sites to allow our students to participate there. And so that is not under our control. So we'll need to be continuing to work with them. And if you will work with your program director, they have very direct contacts with those sites and will have much better information for your particular program.
Great. Veronica Reynolds wants to be sure. She's asking, students will not be held responsible for cleaning the room's common area after we collect our things and turn the keys in, correct?
Mark Booker, please.
That is a great question, and the answer to the question is no. That is not a license to completely leave an untidy mess, but no, there will not be the same standard as a typical move out because of extreme circumstances. Good question, thanks.
We have a student asking, will incoming freshmen receive their one card on move-in day?
They will actually be able to upload their picture at orientation. And yes, they can receive that their first day on campus.
All right. We have a student asking, what is the latest you see students getting back to campus if we were all returning for fall camp classes?
Provost Bernard or Dr. Watts?
I'll address that.
Okay.
It's a fluid situation, so we do not know. What we do know is even if we reach the peak of this epidemic in the next week or two, which would be at about 5 to 6 weeks into the epidemic, that it will plateau for a period and then it will gradually come down. So it will definitely affect May and June and probably into July. Could be longer than that, could be shorter, but probably not. And that's why we say for the fall, in the fall semester, classes start August 24th, I think is the date. Normally we would have move-in a week before. So we are hoping that that will be possible. And with each passing day, and particularly each passing week, and as we begin to be able to test widely for both COVID positive, COVID negative, but also for immunity, i.e. if somebody's had COVID and they have positive antibodies that show that they are protected, they would be easier to bring either back to work or back to school. But we don't know for sure is the bottom line. We do have a contingency plan just in case it pushed into August that we might start classes 1 month later, but we don't intend to do that. So don't take that as anything sure. But we are working to see that, number one, safety is priority and everybody who comes back to campus will be safe. And number two, we really have to see how the epidemiology and the public health of this infection behaves over the coming weeks and month or two. One of the dangers of relaxing the distancing and the stay at home if you can is that if people come back together too quickly, they might re-up the epidemic. They may cause another uptick. We do know that you can have the virus active and be shedding and be asymptomatic for up to 4 to 5 to even 7 days. So people walking around thinking they're okay, they've been exposed, they have it, they're going to get it. They don't know it, and they spread it to someone. And so that's what's really a danger. And that's why the epidemic got out of hand in part, especially in cities and areas where there was not proper social distancing. New York City is a classic example. And that's why they've been hit so hard. So we're going to do everything we can to keep you informed as we work through this process. The cases, the hospitalizations at University Hospital have been stable for the last 3 weeks or so, around 50 to 60 people per day in the hospital. We've had almost 200 patients hospitalized, and we've discharged a large number home, healthy, recovering, probably 100 or so of those at least. So we are managing the hospitalizations well because of blunting the curve, but we will be very diligent and as transparent as possible with our communications about when it will be safe to get back together.
If I could add to that, I know how people would love to have certainty. We'd love to be able to plan and to know we're coming back at a certain point in time. But as the president said, this is incredibly fluid. And so that's why we haven't made the decision about fall yet. But as he said, we have a variety of different scenarios that we've thought about if we needed to implement them, including delaying by a week, delaying by a month, having part of the semester be online and part be face-to-face. So we've thought through a lot of different options as we've tried to think about what could potentially happen that we might need to respond to. And as soon as we have good information on which to make that decision, we'll be letting you know about that.
Great. We have 2 questions related to dorms, so I'll read them out both together. Somebody is asking, for students that left essential items like medication, is there any way we could get those items? And then someone is asking, I have rented textbooks that are still in my dorm. Will I be able to return the books after everything is clear without a late fee to my student account? Those are 2.
Rosie, the good news is we do not have dorms at UAB. We have residence halls. So we'll start there. The answer is yes. Please email us at studenthousing@uab.edu. We are collecting essential items, medications, textbooks, anything you need actually to be successful academically and support you. We're collecting those items through the week, and you're available to pick those up. And our package room is open from 1 to 5 on Thursdays. If you're out of state, then we can make other arrangements if we need to do that. So please email us at studenthousing@uab.edu. Thank you.
Great. A student is asking, how are scholarships being affected by pass-fail?
Dr. Benoit?
Actually, I'm going to give that one to Bradley.
Okay.
The scholarships will not be negatively impacted by pass-fail, unless, of course, you get all Fs. In that case, it would negatively affect your scholarships. But in any case, we will not have it disadvantage the student. And all scholarships, including students on SAP, will not be affected by the pass-fail option.
Okay. I have a student asking, for future students joining UAB fall 2020, when will the housing application be open to select specific rooms, and any advice for how online orientation is supposed to work?
Okay. Mr. Booker and Dr. Barnes, please.
As far as the housing application is concerned, it is open and available now and will continue to be so. And I'll let Dr. Barnes answer the question about orientation.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question, the portion about orientation?
Any advice for how online orientation is supposed to work?
Yes. The registration process has not changed. The only difference is that students will not be charged the same rate because they will not be coming to campus, and it will no longer be a 1.5 day session. It will only be 1 day. That as far as the programming and activities, they will still flow the same way in the past, including meeting with an academic advisor. The difference being it will be online. And all of these instructions and communications that have been retooled can be found on the orientation website.
Okay, we have just 1 more minute, so I'm going to wrap up with a question, and just letting you know we're keep copying all these questions. We have your names that you've submitted, and I will get these questions to respective areas so that we can see if we can follow up. But Kevin is asking, I'm wondering about the logistics of incoming graduate students who are coming from out of state and will need to interview, conduct research, and sign leases. I understand that for research being done by current graduate students, some of the expectations are being extended or moved to off-campus, bioinformatics or literature, grant writing, but for those incoming students, how will this work exactly? This is, of course, if the campus does not open again in the fall.
Sure. That sounds like a question for Dean McMahon.
Yes, happy to address that. So there's a lot of complications, and I know it's frustrating. And as we heard the president and the provost mention, we are continuing to monitor and to make great decisions to make sure our students are safe. many students are going to be moving to Birmingham this summer. So right now, probably working through apartments and doing your leases online to prevent you from traveling would be the safest option. We are expecting that students won't move to Birmingham until right before the term starts in August. So I think using social distancing practices, not traveling, not looking around at apartments will be the safest thing for you, and to do as much of that as you can online. Once we can decide what will happen for the fall term, we will let you know. We will communicate with students as quickly as possible what to expect for the fall. And if you're in a research program, what's going to happen for the laboratories and field research, we will communicate as soon as we have a decision about what's best for the safety of our students.
Great, thank you. We are going to wrap up now, and I wanted to just let you know we are collecting your questions, and if we can respond to them, we will in the type answer. And so just to wrap up, Dr. Watts, would you like to say closing remarks?
Yes, I would. Keep your chin up, and please know that we want to do everything possible to help you safely and effectively secure your education. And we are here for you. And one thing that we have strongly advised is flexibility. We've asked all of our faculty to be flexible with our students based on this unprecedented period that we're working and living through. And I know that Provost Benoit and Vice Provost Barnes and all of us want your transition to campus or back to campus to be as safe and smooth as possible. And we will keep you informed with the latest and greatest information. One of the great things is we have one of the finest academic medical centers and schools of medicine in the world, and they will help guide. Our infectious disease and epidemiology experts will help guide us in making the right decisions and plans for returning safely to campus. Let me also say, I've been asked the question, is there a silver lining in this? And I believe there is. I believe that as people and as an institution, we will be stronger and more resilient because we've faced these challenges and have worked through them successfully. The other thing is we've learned how to use technology better, quicker, for example, in education and in other areas than ever before. So stay positive. We're looking forward to seeing you in person. But in the meantime, be safe, and our best wishes to you and your family and your loved ones and your friends and neighbors.
Thank you. Goodbye, everybody. Thanks for coming.
Bye.